Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. It's Todd Pierce here.
And my name's Dean Martin, so welcome.
And look, we've got a special guest here today. She's actually one of our students, Hayley Wilson. And Hayley does some really, really cool work with women who are feeling currently stuck and unfulfilled. And what she does is she helps them, I guess the best way to say it is you'd help them, I guess, get aligned inside and ascend beyond their current limitations. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Sensational. So look, it's cool to have you here today. Look, today we're doing obviously a bit of a, you normally see me just doing these ones here, but we're going to start to bring other coaches and stuff in who can speak about their experiences, their clients, the things that they help people overcome and kind of enrich, I guess, your perspective too in regards to what's possible. So talk to us. How did you kind of start your whole journey getting into coaching and stuff like that?
Well, I had a women's health and fitness business for about 4 years, and I loved that. Like, I was doing nutrition coaching and fitness training and that, but I just knew that it needed a little bit something extra.
Yep.
And then I met you guys and took it a bit extra.
Wow. In the coaching world, obviously.
Yeah. I've been able to since then take my clients' experience to the next level.
Yeah, cool. So that was previously doing more of a fitness-based kind of thing, was it?
Before, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So what was the kind of evolution that you found happened within your business as you adopted, obviously, different coaching modalities?
As I started offering coaching as a standalone service, obviously my client base changed a lot. The way that I provided my services changed a lot.
So how did your client base change, do you find?
Well, not everybody wants to come to a PT, but suddenly I was able to access people who were more interested in working on their own personal development and uncovering, deeper things than just how heavy they can lift a dumbbell, and, working on more emotional growth. And from there I started building retreats and day events and things like that, and it's grown in that sense.
Awesome. So what do you say are the I guess the big challenges your clients are kind of going through? When you say kind of stuck and unfulfilled, like kind of unpack that a little bit for those that are watching.
I think most women will relate when I say that, particularly once you become a mother, your time is no longer your own. Your time is defined by the tiny little humans that run around, and the number of times that I've said, oh my God, I wish I had a wife to look after these things to me. Because running a business and raising 2 children is hugely challenging. Time-wise. Yeah. And so any woman who's raising kids and working and then, also trying to adapt her life to her husband or partner's life or whatever, it's very difficult, and they tend to be the last ones to look at anything for themselves. And what I generally see with my women is they come to me and, they're like, I don't even know if the job I'm doing is what I want to do. Like, I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't feel joy. I don't feel happiness. There's no intimacy in my relationship. I don't even feel like I'm the mother I want to be because I'm just go with the kids or yelling at them about something and not spending that quality time with them. So that's generally, they're just feeling really stuck in this. I don't know if this is where I want to be, but I don't know where it is I want to go or how to create any change.
Yeah, wow. Obviously, that's a big issue. So I guess with what you're doing right now, like, how do you come in and kind of help them overcome those issues there?
Well, if I get to work one-on-one with people, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I suppose that's where I'll focus. But it's really seeing where I love to begin is with their epigenetics.
Yep.
So that's looking at how their body is expressing themselves at the moment. So we have a physiological response to all of our limiting beliefs and all our emotions, whether that's temporary and, we get butterflies in our tummy or, something happens. It can also be long-term. So our body shapes itself according to our beliefs. And so being able to connect with a woman deeply enough that she allows herself to be vulnerable enough to me to stand in front of me in her bra and undies, and we just read her body and unpack from an intuitive level what's going on and how her body is expressing those limiting beliefs and emotions.
So talk us about that just a little bit. For those who have no idea what this is, because some people watching this are going to be like, yep, cool, I get what you're saying. Some people are going to be like, whoa, what is happening? So let's unpack that a little bit more. So when you say that, obviously the body expresses itself and it shapes itself, it's like that old saying, right? It's like, oh my God, he's not a flexible person. And it's funny, even when they're not flexible in their attitudes, sometimes they get inflexibility in their body as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We had 3 guys in the 8-day course who were very much like that. So I would classify all of them as crusaders.
Yep.
And not only are they rigid in their thought process, but very, very rigid in their bodies. It was amazing.
That's like an example for those watching of obviously, your beliefs and your attitudes manifesting in physical form, yeah?
Yes.
And that's kind of what you say with epigenetics?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Because it's the expression of how your body is.
Yeah.
Translating its DNA.
So when you get these ladies down and feel comfortable with you and you're looking at their body, what kind of things are you looking at?
So we can look at, so we start off with the skeletal measurement. So once I get a skeletal measurement, I can then reverse engineer where your body currently is and see how you were conceived, how the embryo was formed when Mummy and Daddy had that magic moment.
And that spark.
And you were conceived. So I'm able to see how the energy transferred between the 3 cells that form the embryo.
Yep.
So, and that brings into the energy the Vata Kappa energies, if you're looking at Ayurvedic, or Ecto Endo Miso if you're more from the bodybuilding world, but they kind of
Miso.
Yeah.
Yes. More.
Yeah, very much so. It goes so much deeper than that. Yeah. So
amazing.
So being able to see that, how the energy was transferred when the embryo was formed, I'm able to see how their body wants to flow. Yep. How it wants to function every day, what the chronobiology of their body is, whether it be your sleep patterns, your digestion, when you need to exercise, when your brain's more active, when you're social, those sorts of things. So every function of the body, hormone regulation, it all has its own chronobiology, so its own internal clock. Yep. So I can initially get women in alignment with how their body wants to flow throughout the day so that they get the most out of their time, energy and focus in everything they do. So
what are some kind of, because I remember you saying when I got a couple of weeks ago now, you're saying that, you look at people's feet.
Yes.
Yeah, so talk to us about that.
Well, that's looking more at masculine and feminine energy.
Yep.
So that's where we do a body split. So your masculine energy is all on your right-hand side and your feminine's all on your left.
Yep.
So this particular lady, she is a police officer. So she has to work very strongly in her masculine energy. And when she came to me, the things that were off in her life were her intimate relationships.
Yep.
Her hormones were out of balance. She wasn't sleeping very well. So it wasn't just that I needed to help her with food and exercise. There was obviously other things going on there that I needed to sort of unpack, which normally wouldn't really pick up on. And so the first thing I get women to do is just stand comfortably, like just in your unconscious mind, just stand up and see how does your body land in that space.
Yep.
And all of her weight was pushed forward into her right foot, and her left heel almost didn't even touch the ground in a relaxed state. So she was driving so hard into her masculine energy that it had thrown out the balance completely.
Yep.
So before I did anything else with her, we just started drawing back the feminine, and within 3 months she was having a great intimate relationship again.
Good sex.
She had her first orgasm in like
Oh
5
my God.
years, and
that's an important thing, right?
it is. It's good for your health, right? So then the other elements of her life started to come back again. She had more patience with her kids and her husband. She started, dressing a little more sensually. And then when she came and stood with me again, she was still more masculine because she still works in a very masculine-driven world. But she'd come back into her feminine a lot more. And then from there, we were able to start moving forward into a lot of other things that were going on. And
wow. So is this all from looking, or is it from alien sort of technology that you're using? Or?
Well, I do kind
By the way,
of...
just for those watching, when Dean says alien technology, he means technology.
Technology, yes.
Yeah, he's like a gorilla. He's like a gorilla with a keyboard on a Mac.
I do kind of joke that, the Terminator, how when you're watching the movie and you're looking through the Terminator's eyes and you see all the data going up, and I kind of do that. So as I walk around and I interact with people, I just know things about them.
How are they leaning? How's the shoulder? Because as you said, some people like the shoulders go up.
Absolutely.
Or different muscle areas engage based on where you're holding it.
Yeah, which are very short-term physiological responses, but your skeletal system can make a change too. Like I always use the example of my collarbones, because my collarbones actually curve upwards. Then most people's collarbones are straight. It's a normal thing. Mine actually curve upwards as though I'm trying to grow daggers out of my shoulders.
So what does that mean for those watching?
So the limiting belief behind that is that I've always had this amazing fear of attack. And I wasn't aware of it on a daily basis. Obviously, whenever I thought about it, I knew about it. But my body has literally shaped itself to protect me from being attacked because I didn't think that there was anyone to back me up. So it's like I've got daggers coming out my back in case anyone.
That's really cool. So just backtracking, talking about the masculine and feminine, because I think that's an important consideration. So let's talk about it from the perspective of obviously males who aren't able to access their feminine energy. And also just those watching as well, like, obviously, you can be a man and have both masculine energy and feminine energy, right? And you can be a female and have masculine energy or feminine energy. And I'll get your opinion on this as well. Like, what you do for work really does play a big part in that, right?
Absolutely. It really does. Well, you can see it as a female, as a police officer, she really drives into her masculine energy, but there's a lot of men that can really tap into their feminine as well. It's about keeping a balance of the both. And we actually talked about this years ago. We were walking back to one of the other 8-day courses. And I was saying that how men's bodies are changing so much because they're getting much more into their feminine energy now. And we're losing a lot of the masculinity of men, and that's a shame. And I'm sort of thinking 100 years down the track, what are men going to look like if they keep going into their
look, I don't remember who said it, but someone said it. It was this saying by some fellow. What did he say? He said strong men create good times create weak men, weak men create hard times. Something along those lines. But we are shaped by our environment. And I think, once again, just to full circle that thing that I just said, I think it's a good thing that men express feminine energy, but I also think it's a good thing for men to tap into their masculine energy and to let it out. That's who we naturally are. And, for those that think there's no difference between men and women, stop it. There definitely is, all the way down to the biological level. That stuff makes me wild, hey. Because anyway, I digress, because we're not going to go down that part. But there's a difference, right? And it's okay to express your feminine energy, and it's okay to be masculine as well. But as a female too, you have to be able to balance that out. So what can women start to do to kind of balance out that energy? You kind of briefly talked on it before.
Yeah, well, for that lady, and for myself, when I was working primarily in the PT sort of work and training, with really strong weights and things like that, I had a much stronger masculine energy. And then I went and did the emotional anatomy course, and, I've said to you before, something changed. I don't know what changed. And I just really went into my feminine energy after that. And there was this huge shift in everything that was happening from there on. So
describe that for those that are watching. What was that kind of experience like?
I started wearing my hair out. I know that's crazy. I started putting a little bit of mascara on. I brought some lace. So I just sort of thought, what is it that makes me feel sensual as a woman? What makes me feel like a woman? A woman. And embracing the fact that I've got curves. I didn't need to make them hard, straight lines like men. Because, we've been conditioned so much through the fitness industry that everybody's supposed to have flat abs and hard lines, and that's what's sexy and that's what's attractive, and we should all be aspiring to that, but we've lost so much femininity in that either, Todd. And there are a lot of beautiful things in the fact that men and women are different. And I think we need to embrace that. And I don't think that, this equality thing, the way people see it, is necessarily true, because if I demanded to live on the same level of all the men in my life and my husband, then my children wouldn't be raised the way that they're raised. And that would probably be the greatest loss to humanity that I would bring, because they are going to be my legacy, and I can already see that. So the fact that I'm not driving my masculine energy as hard as I used to be has benefited my children so much more than anything else, because I'm supposed to be.
Would you agree that there are a subset of women out there that actually make other women feel bad about not being more masculine, not being more aggressive?
Yeah, definitely. And, women trying to climb the corporate ladder, or in the fitness industry we see it so much because there's that straight line flat abs sort of thing, and they've lost the feminine energy, and on an unconscious level men look at a woman with curves and they're so much more like, oh, okay, than if they see her with rock hard abs, because it does something to like, oh, that's masculine, it's not what I'm supposed to be attracted to.
What if someone was coming to you though, let's just say from both sides, there was a female to come to you and says, oh no, I don't want masculine energy, I'm a female, I'm a lady. Well, just one female, or the other, or vice versa with the guys.
If that's what they want, then that's fine, because it's an individual path that we're walking, and if that's what they want. But I think when people are being forced to try to step into an energy that isn't necessarily aligned with who they want to be or where they want to go, we're seeing so many people having issues with conceiving children these days. It's because 2 generations ago there was a strong masculine and feminine energy in the world. Men were men and women were women, and we served these amazing purposes as we were. And women didn't have careers as such, but they raised these beautiful children. And now we're living in a world, and it's our generation where the women are dealing with motherhood guilt and things like that, because
it's being shamed. It's almost a shame factor, right? Some women out there shame other women who don't necessarily want to climb the corporate ladder. They don't necessarily want to. It's like, who are you to, that's my thoughts on this, who the damn hell are you to rob another woman if that thing, for example, raising her kids and making them amazing little humans, if that's the thing that sets their heart on fire, who are you to tell them that that's wrong? I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, anyway, let's move on from that because that's a deep hole. We could spend hours talking about it.
That's only one element.
I know that is, and that's just feminine and masculine energy. It's a really important thing because some people obviously are too far one side, and that puts everything out of balance. And you see that obviously in relationships lots, right? Like if you've got a super masculine dude and you've got a very masculine female, it's like there's no chemistry.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what we're talking now. So go back 30, 40, 50 years ago, there was a chemistry.
Yes.
And, we don't necessarily like the thing that's exactly like us. You like it's funny, they say, what's that saying? It's kind of like, opposites attract. Only to a certain extent. Like you can't have complete polar opposites, otherwise you're just in war all the time. But you want to have enough differences between you that it's exciting, but enough similarities between you that obviously it's relatively peaceful.
Connected.
Yeah. I think the biggest misconception, and I will just say this before we move on, is that femininity is submissive to masculinity.
Yep.
And that is not the case at all. Women can be extremely feminine and powerful in that energy, and it is not at all less than a man's energy at all.
So that was so you kind of start there with obviously, doing that body assessment, you get a feel, you do a reading. And
touch everything.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then from that, obviously, you get a good kind of present state. This is where they currently are. And that obviously gives you a baseline to know what kind of work you need to do, yeah?
Yeah, so it's where we currently are and all of their history.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So then you've just created a new program, by the way, too, right? It's called the
Ascension Program, yes.
Congratulations on getting the first people that want to do it as well.
Yes.
That's actually really exciting. Hayley's just made a really cool program. So talk to us about that. So ascending beyond their current limiting beliefs, their limitations. Talk to us about that.
So this is where I get to marry the beautiful skills that I've learned from you guys into the work that I was already doing with my coaching. I start off with understanding where the physical body is now, what stories it's telling us, what's going on with that, and it can be very intuitive work. And we start to bring a woman into flow with how her body wants to function. Yep. And then we will. Do
you ever get any kind of pushback or resistance in women?
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
Right, Todd. Isn't that obvious? It's a given. Always.
Yep.
But I guess when the evidence is that clear, and the one thing I love about the precision health work that I do when we are reverse engineering the current skeletal state is that as I go through and I explain to them what it is their body actually wants to be doing, they just start going, yeah, okay, yes, oh my God, yes, wow, oh my God, and they get this, their subconscious just agrees with the process, and even if the first half hour they're sitting on my lounge, they're like, nah, this is what I do, and this is what I've always done, and that's worked, and I'm like, okay, well, so why are we here? Then they start to kind of go, holy shit, every time I do it the way you're saying I should, it feels so good, and I'm like, well, it's because it's what your body wants to do. Nice. And obviously
that metaphor there is kind of like, when you say that's what your body wants to do, that's a direct signal from your unconscious.
Yes.
So it's you being true to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then once they have that evidence, it all starts to flow a lot easier from there. So there's always going to be resistance because we like to lie to ourselves as well. Not just lie to me.
Those pretty little stories that we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah. So, but it's just overcoming those, and the body doesn't lie. We can
Shakira said these hips don't lie, right?
Well, even if we're just sitting in a coaching session, we could sit there and we could consciously construct an answer that sort of resembled something like the unconscious truth, but it isn't necessarily that. The body won't lie.
It's very out of awareness.
Yeah.
So I like looking at feet as well. Whenever so if anyone's read the definitive book of body language, I'm pretty sure it's that book there. I read that years ago back when I first got into sales, and it was like, the direction which people point their feet shows you where they want to go. So like when you're chatting to someone, and I'd always be observing people when I'm selling, so obviously I did door-to-door sales, but you'd be watching people, and I'd always be watching their feet because I'd notice as soon as they started to shift their feet away, I'm either overselling, I've lost them, I need to catch them back again, or just end the conversation because they're gone. Yeah. So I love that. Yeah, okay, cool. So moving on. So let's talk about that ascension thing and unpack that a little bit more. So in respect to what you're helping these ladies kind of move beyond, what are the core elements of that in that journey?
Well, I guess in every decision that we're making every day, there's limiting beliefs behind what we're doing. We've got attachments to fear, whether it's powerlessness, worthlessness, or abandonment. Something's always going to be there to hold us back or adjust our decisions or anything like that. So we always, with NLP and timeline therapy, we clear all the previous emotions, but it's tapping into the limiting beliefs that we see within the body that is really going to create change with these women.
So how are these kind of limiting beliefs kind of manifesting in their lives? How does this kind of stuff manifest in their lives? It creates bit of chaos.
Oh wow, it's different for everyone, Todd. That's such a broad
question. I'm chucking you under the bus.
So it can come up in their relationships. It can come up with how they talk to themselves. One really simple example that I picked up on the other day is I have had lots of comments on my mouth since doing our last 8 days. I'm like, what the frig is this? Like, why are so many people talking about my mouth? This is so weird. And I've made some huge shifts in my beliefs since then.
Yeah.
But I was like, what is that? What is my mouth telling people that they're looking at this all the time? So my bottom lip is more full than my top lip, and funnily enough, that means I've got the gift of the gab.
So you can talk.
Yeah, I can talk, and I can be quite persuasive when there's something I believe in.
Yeah.
But the limiting belief that I found, when I fully smile, you can see my top gums. And I normally hate that in photos. I'm like, oh my God, why can't you just see my teeth? But you see my top gums.
Yeah.
And while that's a beautiful thing because it shows people when they see me smile, they can see on an unconscious level, they understand that I give very freely.
Yep.
And so people know that about me. But what the limiting belief there is that I never believe anybody likes me.
Okay.
I'm always surprised as shit when someone actually likes me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm having to work through that. That's a limiting belief for me that I've carried for a long time. And so it shows up in so many different ways. So when I have any relationships, when I'm building relationships with people, I'm always on a subconscious level totally questioning why they're there with me. If they're not a paying client, like why would they want to spend any time with me? So that's just one of 1,000 different ways that our limiting beliefs can affect us. Yep. And then I have to consciously be like, well, hang on a minute, Hayley. They've got busy lives. If they're choosing to sit here with you, they've done that for a reason. So just accept the fact that they want to spend time with you.
So that comes into a good point, obviously, for people that are working with limiting beliefs and stuff like that. It's like when you actually put that limiting belief under scrutiny, proper hard scrutiny, and you put it through the reality check, quite often they kind of fall apart, don't they?
Absolutely. And then that's where we can use our timeline therapy to go in, okay, well, where did we build this limiting belief? What did it come from? What are the lessons we can learn? All that work that I learned with you guys, on top of my emotional anatomy understanding that we've been doing, and start to eliminate those. And then imagine what life's going to be like going forward. Like now that I don't have a belief that I'm always going to be attacked.
It's always a good one.
Like even going for a run the other day was different for me.
Yeah,
it was a different experience. Yeah. And I use myself as an example a lot because I don't want to reveal other people's truths so much. So people get to know me very well when I do these things. That's fine. But yeah.
So you went for the run.
I went for the
run. Remember you telling me you went for a run and kind of tell people what happened there?
There's this beautiful bush track that I run and it takes me out to a quarry, and every time I run, and I wasn't aware that I was doing it until it was gone. You know how you don't hear the humming noise until it turns off and you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's gone. But I passed 3 individual men on that run and I was like, what's missing? What is weird about this? Like, why is this a strange experience to me right now? And I realised I wasn't bracing myself physically to be attacked every time someone passed me.
Right.
And that was huge.
Absolutely.
That's a massive thing. And so now I'm like, well, are my collarbones going to go straight? Like, how long will that take? Is my skeleton literally going to change itself now? But, that will give me a level of freedom in myself and in what I do going forward because surprisingly, I haven't been attacked in 23 years. So
really good. You're saying there that most people have a certain limiting belief that they may or may not be aware of. Have you ever seen anyone or met anyone that's like, no, I don't have any limiting beliefs?
Oh, yes.
So how do you deal with those sort of people?
Well, they do say denial is not just a river that runs through, was it Egypt or Africa?
I guess, if they want to work with me, then I'm not the most gentle and sensitive coach, I suppose. I'm not the one who just sits there and it's all right, darling. We'll just wait till you're ready. If they want to work with me, they've got to do the work. And I set the standard that we are going to deal with the truth here. We are going to work with what really happens. And if you're not ready for that, then that's okay. I don't mind. But if I'm going to put my energy into this, I expect you to show up for me. So, yes, there are always people who are like, I don't have anything wrong with me. But the lady last night, she was like, you know, she was looking at my package. She's like, you know, even the money doesn't bother me. I can see how this is really amazing, but I am so scared to show up that vulnerably with you. And I'm like, okay.
So, look, we kind of went there by ourselves. So what is it about vulnerability that you think is so scary for people?
To be seen, just totally seen as who you are is a massive thing. You're letting go of all of your layers and just saying, I'm here, and that's true intimacy.
Yes, which is the next thing I want to talk about. So talk to us about that, intimacy. How's that for a good segue? Nailed it. So talk about it, because when we talk about intimacy before we started obviously recording, you weren't necessarily just talking about intimacy between two people. You're kind of talking about it also at that deeper level of intimacy with yourself.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that, especially in regards to the women that you help.
Well, intimacy starts with self. So intimacy is into me, I see. So you then have the option of...
That was amazing.
Have you not heard me say that before? Oh my God. You need to listen to more of my podcasts. So into me, I see. So you can, once you've attached to your own intimacy, you can invite someone else into that. Even if you're not very intimate with yourself, you can still invite someone into it.
Yep.
But if you want to go into true intimacy, it's about you, the individual. How do you show up for yourself? And one of the hardest and most difficult things that I had to do back when I was first opening my gyms, and I had a lot of crap to overcome. Like, you guys, who I am now is completely different to who I was 8 years ago. I just got told by my coach at the time, just go and stand naked in front of the mirror and just find 3 things that you love about yourself.
Yep.
And like, for me and for so many women, because we have been shamed about our bodies. We're being told that if we don't fit this photoshopped image here on the front of this magazine, you're therefore imperfect and wrong and unworthy and undesirable and, you know, so many other things. And you guys are very much aware that the word that was drilled into me was repulsive. Like, I was repulsive. And
comparison is a thief of joy.
Absolutely it is. And so to stand naked in front of the mirror, and at the time I was more lean and like I had the abs and, you know, everything going on, and I bawled my eyes out for a good 2 hours standing in my bedroom. I could not find a thing that I liked, and I had to stand there until I was able to say these 3 things I liked about myself. Unfortunately, I like my back, so I can't see that. I like photos of my back. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a pretty back. But
Good to hear that you back yourself.
I do in everything, because I never believed anyone was there, right?
Yep.
So it starts with starting to love who you are, and not just in the physical form, but even looking at the flaws in who you think you are. If you're sitting there going, you know, I made this decision, I hate myself for it, then you're not able to truly reach into intimacy with yourself.
It's probably a good exercise for you guys watching if you want to trial this. Go stand in front of the mirror. And it's a good way to reflect, right?
Oh, Jesus.
But three things that you can find that you actually love about yourself. Go find it.
We're both dads, so it's all right.
So these two will be in front of the mirror for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
For women, it takes a little bit more. It takes a bit. And, you know, we also, this is something that came up. I've always had more men around me than women up until the last few years. And when we were getting married, the boys were joking about taking Craig to a strip club and things like that. And I had a really close relationship with these guys. They're lovely guys. And I was sitting there and I'm like, do you guys really want me walking down the aisle to my future husband, replaying in my head the images of him sitting there handing over my hard-earned money to a stripper? And they all kind of went, oh. I'm like, how good do you think I'm going to feel standing there in my wedding dress if he's just seen this, you know, whatever she is up on a stage flaunting herself for him? And it's when women have to compare themselves to that pornographic world that a lot of issues come from there.
Yeah, there's massive desensitization that has occurred over the last 30 years. Not just that, but also, you know, with the rise of social media and platforms like Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that, where you can share pictures, the thief, which is comparison, has become very prevalent. Absolutely. Right? Like, and it's so easy to flip open your phone and to look at, you know, a picture of a perfectly aimed camera that's set up with all the right filters and stuff like that.
Yep,
you know, in that Lamborghini that they don't necessarily own, or, you know, with their body. I remember I saw this thing, it was this news report, right, of these girls that got busted taking pictures, and they were doing some editing thing. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but they'd pulled in their waist and made their bellies go away. And and all of their pictures were like looking fabulous, right? And then like some of their friends must have got a bit frustrated with them and posted their real photos online. They looked completely different. Like they weren't lean and chiseled like they looked. They're like, this is what they really look like. And like, it's funny because people do that, right? And I'd say that women probably do it more than men. For whatever reason that happens to be. But like, you know, you look at things and you go, well, people look at what other people have, or I say quote unquote have these days because you don't know what the fuck's real. So it's like, well, are what you're comparing to yourself to right now, is it even real? First question I always want to run people through. But then as you said, it's like, well, it's a thief of joy. It doesn't make you happy, it makes you feel bad. You to love you first, which is that whole premise of intimacy. And
I love that quote of you're comparing your own first take to their highlight reel.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know, that's what's been done throughout the centuries anyway. If we back in the 80s, if you were going to print photos off, you'd only print the best ones off to put in the album to show your holiday. We're doing that still. Like, that hasn't changed. It's just now we do it on this constant flow.
And not just that, now the highlight reel, there's a high chance the highlight reel's been tampered with. Yes,
absolutely. And it is very different, and it's so hard for women to be able to feel beautiful and intimate with themselves. And so being able to help a woman overcome just that one little thing in her life, it changes so many other aspects, because it even changes how you relate to your children and definitely in your relationships and with your friendships. Like, the one thing that I see happen more now after I work with women is just honest conversation. And that's a level of intimacy that we haven't seen for a long time as well. And, you know, it's stems from 2,000 years ago when they started burning women at the stake. We had to hide our femininity. We had to hide our beliefs, and we had to hand our power over to these men. And even childbirth got taken over by men. And if you wanted to birth your baby with a midwife as opposed to the doctor, you got burnt at the stake.
Yeah, and the doctor's a spastic anyway.
Yeah, well, God, how's he going to know what's going on? Like, far out. So there is this a very long-term ingrained beliefs around that, and that's a, you know, it's not just our lifetime that we're affecting then as well.
So we are obviously approaching the end of that time when you just need to get out of here. So if you're going to wrap this up and give the people watching, listening, I guess, 'cause obviously, you know, people watching this may be coaches. They also may be people going through similar experiences to this. So number one, if people are working with people with those kind of issues, what's some tips you could give them? But number two, if they're going through those kind of issues, what are some tips they can take and run with? Obviously, number one, get their energy and their feminine masculinity back in alignment. Number two, how to rise above the bullshit. Number three, obviously, get that intimacy.
Yeah. So firstly, with bringing the masculine and feminine energy back into alignment is asking what it is what you want for yourself. So how do I show up in my life in these different ways? You can do a face split and you can really see the difference between that. But if you're having more issues on your right hand side, then chances are your masculine energy is driving a lot harder. You even can look like more exhausted or withdrawn in your feminine side. You know, so working with someone who can do a face split for you is pretty helpful there. But definitely, if you want to maintain really healthy relationships, particularly in your marriage or partnership or whatever, looking at how you allow the other people in your life to show up in their energy. Like, how do I allow that person to show up as a man for me? Because often what women do is they don't let that happen. So they block the masculine energy that is supposed to be drawn to their feminine, and so they're pushing back with this masculine energy. And like, one thing that comes up is, I hear it so many times from women, is that, when they're talking about their husband, when they say, oh no, he can't have that, I'm blocking that off. It's like, well, you've let both of yourselves down there, because if you're refusing to be intimate with him, then you're denying yourself all those hormones and all the really good things in that connection. But you're denying him the right to his desire from you as a man. Like, if your husband's coming up and grabbing you on the ass or something, he wants you. He's showing you that he desires you, and that's his masculine energy. So allow that to happen. That's really important. And, you know, I started buying dresses and wearing my hair out and, you know, things like that. And, you know, the world has responded. I have seen a huge difference in the way people interact with me since I did that. And what were the other things you wanted to do?
So in respect to, you know, the intimacy, I reckon wrap it up with the intimacy thing. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, so intimacy, it is. Into me, I see. Get fucking honest with yourself. Just raw, hard truth. Just look at yourself and go, so what is it that I really want? How do I want to show up in the world? What do I want to deliver at the end of the day? What's my legacy going to be? How do I want to be remembered? And stop bullshitting. Like, far out. There's, like, we tell ourselves so many lies all the time, but it's the lies that we then project out into the world and what our body is then carrying that's creating so many different issues. And if you can just fucking sit with it and say, this is me, this is my truth, and I'm okay with it. You don't have to tell other people what your truth is, but you got to be okay with it. Yep. And until you can be okay with this is who I am and this is what I want to do and I don't hate myself for this and those sorts of things, then you're not going to be able to show up intimately for yourself or for anybody else anyway. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably...
Hell yeah, that was good, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. So let's start to wrap this up now. Hayley, if anybody wants to connect with you, follow you, how can they do that?
Facebook's the best way. It's Love Yourself Healthy with Hayley Wilson, because I do have a website, but I'm too feminine for that stuff. I hate systems and websites things. So on Facebook, Love Yourself Healthy with Hayley Wilson. Yeah, it's the best way to get in contact.
Awesome.
And to see the work that I'm doing.
Love yourself healthy. Matches. It's good.
So go ahead now. If you've enjoyed this episode, feel free to drop a like down below. Drop a GIF in the comments if you like too. We love GIFs. GIFs are like my favourite thing right now. I try to express myself in as many ways with my GIF versatility.
You're doing well too.
How can I answer without responding? How can I just use a GIF? But look, drop a like, share this with anybody that needs to hear this. Also, if you happen to be a coach and you'd like to jump on and talk about what you're doing, obviously we're going to start to open up the Coaches Corner to actually chatting with different people, exploring what they're doing and sharing their message with the world. So feel free to drop us a DM and have a chat as well. But aside from that, guys, take care. It's been a pleasure, Hayley. High five. Bye, guys.
See you guys.